at that point, I was really feeling quite broken. All of my relationships, all of them, like with family and friends and everything, they were just, it was broken. Both my masculine and my feminine was so wounded at that point in time. Like I was feeling so much, and I was so overwhelmed and ashamed of everything I felt. I had come to a point that this is about me, and I want to be better. I was in so much of a victim mode that I really couldn't take it anymore. I didn't want to date because I did want to work on me so that when I started dating, I wouldn't fall into old patterns.
Well, Cecilia, I've got something here today. When you and I had this clarity call, I've actually found the notes that I took from
Oh,
like
really?
literally just scribbles on a piece of paper. We know what's gone wrong, what it is your sort of what is the relationship that your heart is really yearning for. And so I've got some words that I wrote down here. So the first part is for the relationship. I've got happy and fun, safe and loved. There's also sports that you've written here. I think that's because you want somebody who you can do your sports with. And then I've got prioritize and make time for emotional, I think it means emotional availability, and also separate lives, which I think spoke to, you having your own separate lives that you come together in relationship. And then this ideal man now is somebody who's direct in his communication, clear in what he wants, is stable and ambitious, making a life for himself. And then the last part is that it says sees you and chooses you. So Cecilia, how many of those boxes have you now ticked in your life?
God, I'm getting like real goosebumps here because I've got it all. Like honestly, I've got it all. It's really moving because when you read that, I can feel into the hurt that I was in, and when I hear it now, where I am now, I just feel so grateful both to you guys and to me and to him, which is something really beautiful to feel that he wants to give, and he cares for, and he holds, and he's just in everything I am and all my emotions. Like I could be happy or sad or overwhelmed or angry, whatever I'm feeling, he's just there. And what can I do for you?
Okay, we're going. All right. I mean, I don't even know really what to say here apart from I've been really, really, really looking forward to speaking with you here, Cecilia. So thank you for speaking with us. And I suppose just to put a frame around it, a bit of context for this conversation, which is we spoke a while back. You did our program, which you came through and graduated, like sort of mid last year or early last year, around the springtime. And then, we've sort of been in touch a bit since then, but pretty much out of the blue, we received the most amazing email from you just a couple of weeks ago. And, we get these emails, we get, people checking in, giving us updates, celebrating where they're at now and stuff like that. But yours in particular, really, yeah, it got me big time. And you have experienced some things that honestly, actually, nobody else coming through the program is quite experiencing the same way. So with all that said, what I'd actually like to start with is, Cecilia, if you could tell us a little bit about where you were at, what was happening for you when you and I first spoke. So pre LBL and all of that. I remember speaking with you before you came in, and yeah, you had just come out of or recently come out of a relationship that wasn't working for you, wasn't working at all. And that was the relationship that really was the trigger point for you to get this sort of perspective on yourself, your life, what you want. And yeah, you actually really weren't in a great place at all. So with that said, yeah, you in your own words, please. I've been speaking too long.
Well, first of all, thank you for having me. Well, it's like you said that at that point, I was really feeling quite broken, and all of my relationships, not just the one with Christian, but all of them, like with family and friends and everything, they were just, it was broken. And I had, so much resentment inside of me towards the other people. Like, why are you not here for me? And overwhelming feelings of everything. And it was really a projection from me to them, that why can't you take care of this? I'm feeling all of this. Why can't you do anything about it? Help me. And I think that Christian was the really breaking point that I came to, that this has something to do with me. Like all of these relationships, and now the year with him was just, yeah, there's something with me, inside of me, that is not like in order. Something is not right, but I could not say what it was. And I was still looking for all the solutions that could be within him to fix everything that was us. And I think also that, yeah, I think that's a really good explanation of where I was. Really, both my masculine and my feminine was so wounded at that point in time. Like I was feeling so much, and I was so overwhelmed and ashamed of everything I felt. And at the same time, my masculine couldn't really hold it at all. So I just put it on him, like, here it is, take it, fix it. And one day I was scrolling through Instagram, and I came upon one of your posts, and that really knocked me. It was, what is happening? And I could not stop scrolling. Like I read all of them, and I looked at all your videos, and it was, what? This is insane. It really was that. Yeah, it felt like Sharif, you had something to say, and I needed to listen. It was so truthful, and it was so hurtful.
Sorry.
Yeah. No, in a good way now, but at that point it was really, hard to hear. But it was also the truth that I needed to hear. So that's when I contacted you with the clarity call, and had a talk with you. Yeah, and
Yeah.
then I started LBL.
Yeah, and I mean, yeah, thank you. It really, you kind of took me back a little bit there, because I really do remember, meeting you and connecting with you. But the thing I wanted to point out as well for the people watching is that it was over with Christian, and you were, you'd really the picture of your life was single and sort of needing to move on, needing to disconnect and open up, and yeah, which is what happened. That was sort of plan A, right? But yeah.
Yeah, because when I started the course, I had come to a point that this is about me, and I want to be better. I want to feel better. I want a better life for me and for other people around me. It was I was in so much of a victim mode, um, that I really couldn't take it anymore within me, and I didn't want other people to have that kind of relationship with me either. So yeah.
Mm. And then Cecilia, yeah, and then you came into LBL, you did the program. And what I'd like you to share actually is, yeah, and then obviously, like Sharif said, I think it was spring, around whenever it was, you know, that you went back out into the real world. And yeah, and then fast forward to now, I'd like you to tell us a little bit about what happened since then, what happened since doing the program, but particularly the stage when you went back out into the real world to now, to what you shared with us. Yeah, tell us about that journey.
Well, yeah. Well, when the course when I graduated, I was really focused on just um, doing me and not dating. I was not at all in a place where I wanted to date. Well, I hadn't really been in that place for a long time, to be truthful, because I've been really avoidant with dating. But I guess the difference at that time was that I didn't want to date because I did want to work on me and my progress, so that when I started dating, I wouldn't fall into old patterns. Um, and I wanted to do it with some kind of safety within me, um, and to do that with, yeah, clarity, and really be grounded in, this is what I'm looking for, and not allow myself to fall into, not speaking my truth, or going into dating someone again that is avoidant, or not clear on what he wanted. So yeah, I guess the summer was really, I was really just enjoying myself, having a good time with my friends and living my life, and um, I was also trying to get more knowledge on, um, yeah, everything we learned in the class, and um, yeah, just enjoying taking it easy. Um,
I remember you said something like, you know, that when you started dating, you rocked the world of all the men you met. And like, and that all these men started, you know, coming out of, it was like the universe was suddenly bringing all these men from your past started showing up, all kinds of like, yeah. So like, clearly, like you were showing up in a totally different way.
yeah, it was really, yeah, it makes me laugh because, well, when I decided to start dating again, I felt really, um, yeah, grounded and clear. This is what I want, and this is what I'm looking for. So I started dating, and I went on dates, and yeah, all the guys that I did go on dates with were like, yeah, I want that too. So
Yeah.
that was really sweet, and they were really sweet. I didn't have the same interest as they did, but it was still a big step for me to just start dating. And yeah, and also, I got messages like all of a sudden from guys that I hadn't heard from in a long time. Uh, so that was, yeah, they
Yeah.
were just dropping from the sky.
And it's I just wanted to touch on that real quick, which is, it's there is this magical element to all of this, and doing this kind of work really starts to reveal this more and more and more. And I think I've said in some posts, like if you don't believe in magic, then you haven't done the right things, because there is no obvious explanation for a lot of this stuff of how energetically, when you make these shifts in yourself and your relationship to yourself and really your relationship to life itself, all these other things start to happen, opportunities, people, that it's not like they're watching you, but they can feel it and they kind of show up somehow. So I always love hearing that.
Yeah, 100%. And then so then you were dating, and then and then what happened? But like, where are you now? Tell us a little bit about where you are now.
Well, I started to see Christian again also at the end of the summer. And that really had nothing to do with me wanting to have a relationship with him again. And as I think I wrote that in the email as well, that for the first time, I really felt that. For me, it was just a feeling of I needed closeness in a way that you can't get yourself, and just, a warm embrace from someone. And when I started to see him again, I wasn't in the place of starting to date yet either. And I wasn't feeling safe either to start seeing someone new. So when I started to see him, I told him, I was very clear with him that this is what I'm looking for. And that was the truth for me at that point. Really, I was also clear that I will be starting to date other people. And I did. So during the fall time, I was seeing Christian, and I was also dating other people. And the conversation between me and Christian was, we were both allowed to do that. And the main reason was that one of my dreams is to have a family. And he didn't want more kids. So, and even if he did want more kids, I was still not in the place that I wanted to have a relationship with him. But during the fall and all the work that I did, really, it was mind blowing to see the difference, the changes in our relationship, because I was not expecting that, and that was not my objective at all, because I was really just doing me. And working on my feminine, and so I guess somewhere in October, I got a message from him where I have to give you the background of this, because sometime last year when we were dating and it was not good, I sent him a podcast episode it was about avoidance. And I sent that to him, like, here, this is what's wrong with you. So you need to listen to this so you can get better. And of course, he didn't take it very well. But now then in October, I got a text from him where he said, hey, you know that podcast episode you sent me? Can you send me that again?
Wow.
I was like, what? Do you want to hear that again? And I sent it to him, and I really didn't address it at all, even more. It was up to him what he wanted to hear or learn. And after that, it was just, I think that he came to a point where he felt very secure in opening up. It was jaw-dropping, really. I stood there looking at my phone like, who is this?
I love that. Yeah, and it just speaks to what Sharif was sharing earlier about this kind of element of when you start making those shifts, you start showing up differently. People genuinely, if there's a genuine connection, you never know, really start showing up differently in your life as well. That's amazing. And like you said, he suddenly felt secure enough to be able to start doing that with you.
And you were secure too. And I just want to, there's so much to sort of unpack here, and even some sort of caveats. I mean, one of the things is that, as you know, is that what we don't do and what we really don't deal with is how to make somebody who's not your boyfriend or your partner become your partner. So it really is this very clear thing of you, like you said, doing you and living your life, and even sort of dating other people. And normally what we would say is, if somebody said, oh, that toxic relationship I had that made me do this thing, I'm thinking of going back to see how he's doing. Normally I'd be like, whoa, proceed with extreme caution, if at all, each situation depending. I mean, most of the time I'd even say don't go there, to be quite honest. But in some situations I might say, all right, but you need to use all the tools that you've learned, this new version of you're going to get tested here. Because if I guess if we go back to when you were in the program with us, there was some of that feeling, right? Oh, what if not him, then who? And some of that, like, and it's that wanting to go back there. But clearly that's not what this was. So can you tell us sort of what the feeling difference is between, let's say, oh, I'm going to go back to my ex, versus what happened when you reconnected with him? What does that feel like?
Yeah, well, I think that in the past when we reconnected, because of the relationship before was not like secure, that now we're dating, and was the on off, the feeling at that time was more of overwhelming feelings that I could not take care of myself. So I reached out to him so that he could help soothe me. And when I contacted him again this summer, I was for sure not sure that was a good thing to do. But at the same time, I didn't feel that I needed him for anything at that point, more than like I said, that it was just a closeness thing that I guess any human would want. But yeah, I was just feeling very clear on what I wanted. So yeah, I felt that I guess that I didn't feel the need for him. I just felt that and not the anxiety reaching out for him.
There's something that really, it feels really clean. It feels like something had really shifted. It was like hearing you speak, just, because it doesn't always happen, but sometimes it does, with exes. Sometimes people genuinely do fall into a space where there's a kind of genuine sense of companionship, and the past is kind of the past, and it feels like you kind of got into that space with him.
Yeah.
And I was going to say, you said you had this clarity, that you had in this sort of in what you wanted and what you didn't want, and what a few of the women who we've spoke to now have made reference to as being one of the key things for them was this clarity statement, and I wonder if at that time had that just sort of embedded into you and develop that clarity, or was it something you were literally sort of coming back to, to remind yourself of?
No, at that point it was just stuck in the core of me. That was what I wanted. I wanted a guy that was just as clear as I was, and was looking for the same things. So It wasn't something I needed to look up or go back to, because it was super clear. And I guess that's also one of the things that made it feel really okay with going back to date or see Christian again. Because if that didn't fit him, what I wanted, then that's fine. No, it's fine. This is what I'm offering right now. And if you feel differently, that's totally fine.
And that's just a testimony really to the work that you've done. And your journey through the program wasn't plain sailing. The first half or so was actually, we had to get on the phone a few times and check in, because like I said, you really weren't in a great place, and of course some of the work sometimes taps into some stuff and there's a bit of a dip, but this sort of coming into yourself that we witnessed literally before our eyes in the program, that you clearly still have maintained, although I'm sure it hasn't been always smooth as well. That speaks to this sort of embedding of that clarity where it just becomes your truth. And I really wanted to highlight the difference as well between what you've experienced here and what so many women make the mistake of doing, which is, well, if I pull away and tell him I'm leaving, then he will come and get me, right? Or he'll change. Or, if I make some demands and tell him this is what I want, then he will just sort of like straighten up. If I, it's such a different quality of what's happened. And I don't know if Beth had another question, but I was going to ask. Do you?
Well, I was just we haven't quite heard the rest of the story with Christian.
Oh, right. Yeah, it's true. Yeah.
So I was like, and then so you got the video and you sent him the podcast, and then tell us about this beautiful journey you've been on together.
Yeah, thank you.
Well, I can actually I think I know where you were going there, Sharif. So I can just say something that might help some women that when we started dating again or seeing each other again, he was still pretty avoidant in some things. But a key point for me, since I was so clear at that time, was to speak up when I felt that he did something that wasn't aligned with me or what I had stated. And I think that the most important thing is that what I was also fine with if he didn't want to meet me in what I needed or wanted at that time, because that was not what we was going into. In comparison to before, when I could say something to him, but underlying it was, but I want him to chase me, or I want him to do this. At that time, it was more, or this time in the summer, it was more, I'm fine with that. And it was in the core, like I felt that was fine. That's a very big difference as well. Yeah.
That's huge.
Yeah. And it is really so sweet as well, because he really stepped up in that as well, because he felt safe when I was so clear what I wanted, and I felt so free. I could see him like, oh, she wants this, or she needs this, or he just stepped up in a way that really wasn't demanding from me. It was just his way of, he wanted to do that.
And then I remember you saying that it kind of came to this crunch point. You were dating someone else. You really liked him. So what is it that you made the decision, actually, you know what, I'm going to go with Christian? And tell us about that. And
that was I started to date another guy that I actually really liked. And he was also on the same path as me, and he was looking for the same thing. And um, I was open and clear with that, with Christian as well. But at the same time, at that point, I had a really hard time letting go of not Christian, but the relationship that we had developed, because it was awesome. It was so, it was like I could stand outside of the relationship and look at it and be in just awe. Wow, that's amazing. That's two people who had done so much progress.
Mm.
Um,
Mm.
yeah, but I guess the really turning point was that Christian, um, he made a decision to, well, he decided that he wanted kids. He wanted that with me. And it was also, I'm getting this for you. It was, I want this with you.
Mm. Mm.
And then I had to make a decision because I was seeing both him and the other guy. And yeah, I could not let go of Christian. It was just I remember one time I was standing there looking at him, and I was just, wow, you are amazing. What progress. What, you are so inspiring.
Mm.
And I felt so safe with him.
Mm. Mm.
Yeah.
And that's so beautiful, Cecilia. And that key difference, which is that, my understanding of what I heard there is that, as you know, is what we teach is how to make this inquiry into what does love want. So not what's my voice saying, not the voice in my head, not the anxiety, not my wounds, not my neediness, not my longing for this thing, or whatever, but what does literally love itself have to say? And having developed this capacity to ask that question in these moments and hear the answer through the heart, not through the chitter chatter in the mind, you felt this pulling. And it's so beautiful to hear you speak to that clarity, because it's such a different kind of clarity, isn't it? I don't know if you can maybe speak a little bit about the difference between that versus the pulling. And that is one of these things I speak about that very often people struggle to comprehend, which is yearning versus neediness, and that pulling versus I'm going to push and make this happen.
Yeah, exactly. Because when it came to when Christian made that decision that he wanted kids with me, I asked him that, is this something that you're doing not just so you won't lose me, or is this something you really want? Because that was really important to me. Because I wanted him, of course, to want to have kids, but it would not have felt good for me if he made that decision based on his anxiety or based on just not losing me or us. So I guess that the clarity for me was just to, yeah, like listen to my, I guess my instinct or gut feeling of what is going on, and is this really, of course I needed to trust his words, but you also had your instinct, and is this a choice that he's making for that he really wants this, or the anxiety. In comparison to before, when we were dating, I really wanted him to make that decision, like, I want kids. And now it was more, I wanted him to make that decision because it was what he wanted. um,
Mm.
I guess that even if he had said that he wanted kids based on the wrong choice, or yeah, it wouldn't have, my clarity was so, I was so clear that that wouldn't have worked for me either.
Mm. Wow,
Yeah.
that's super powerful. And so, Cecilia, you said, I think one of the things you said was it was like one of the most beautiful relationships, you've ever had. So tell us a bit about where you are now. Yeah, tell us a little bit about the kind of relationship you're experiencing now.
Yeah. Yeah, that's pretty amazing, really. It's I think for the first time I feel, I think I said this when I started LBL, that one of the main things for me was to feel safe. And for sure, that is a really big thing now as well. But I feel safe anyway. It's just an extra beautiful thing that he wants to give to me, and also I've been during the autumn working a lot with my feminine, and I think the knowledge of that really brought out my feminine, which also brought out his masculine, which is something really beautiful to feel that he wants to give, and he cares for, and he holds, and he's just in everything I am, in all my emotions. Like I could be happy or sad or overwhelmed or angry, whatever I'm feeling, he's just there. And what can I do for you? It's truly something. And it's also, I need to be very clear that this is something that comes from um, it comes from within me. So of course he wants to do all those things for me, but it's also something that's really grounded in me now, that this is something that I'm looking for. um,
Mm.
yeah, so
Mm.
yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, it feels like you've really, and is what we work really with women to do, is really tap into their innate queen, their innate power, which really is magnetic. It's like you said, it's the feminine, it's magnetic, it's inspiring, it's radiant, it's light, and so I can really feel, your power in that relationship. But to have him serve you and show up in that way, like, you can never control someone or force someone or change someone. They have to be inspired, to be able to show up that way. So
Yes.
that is, yeah, so inspirational.
And this is what you are experiencing firsthand, this thing that, I'm sure if you go back now and read all those posts from the Instagram, they will land in a completely different way, because now you've experienced it, you get it, and it's what I speak to, and it's not airy fairy, it's not like it's real, that you can't change somebody, like Beth said, and the more you try, that's the thing that pushes men away, or anyone away. And it's something that you spoke to several times today, which is he became safe. He not just felt safe, and it's not a case of how do I make my man feel safe so that he can then make
Yeah.
me feel loved. It is, how do you become such a person that now your partner actually is safe, because
Yeah.
you have got that safety in yourself, and then you can start to step into this version of you that creates, like Beth said, this inspiration, this awe-inspiring feeling, so that now the showing up that you're experiencing with Christian, and that I experience every day with Beth, is I can't help but her radiance straightens me out, and opens me up, and makes me show up. And of course there's work on my end too, but yeah, and it's so beautiful to see you experienced that. And one question I would love to ask is, can you, if you had to sort of pinpoint one, maybe two of the key learnings that you took from your journey here in LBL and in general, what would it be? What would you say is the thing that really got you from where you were to where you are now? What was that one or two thing?
Oh, well, I with the clarity for sure. It's the basics of it that I needed to be clear on what I wanted. I also, the masculine and the feminine has been a really, really, yeah, good thing to learn more about and start to embody the feminine for me. But for sure, also setting boundaries and speaking up has been really good for me. And not just speaking up like this is what I want, but in terms of sharing what is happening inside of me. Because that is one of the key things that made him feel safe, or starting to feel safe, that I also shared my internal world with him. Yeah, because I talked to him and I asked him at some point that what is the key things for you that is the change that we had. And he said that knowing what I'm feeling or what is happening with me made him feel safe. And that was not my objective at all. It was me trying to share what's happening with me, because that was an exercise for me. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's one of the biggest challenges for women, actually. Yeah, to really get that line, to really get clarity in themselves, and then be able to share it from a place of being genuinely vulnerable and genuinely authentic, and not putting it on them, but as an offering to someone. Because to share your heart with someone is an offering; it's a sacred gift to someone. It's not like a dump, which can often happen in relationships, right?
Definitely what happened before with him, with the overwhelming of feelings. Here's my shit, take it, it's yours.
Yeah, it doesn't work, right? Somehow weird. I dumped all my emotions on him, and he still didn't open up.
And
weird.
He didn't want them. Yeah.
yeah. That was what was I felt as well. Like, what's wrong with you? I'm giving you all this. Take it.
Oh, God.
Yeah.
Oh, well, Cecilia, I've got something here today.
Okay.
Kind of surprised, actually, in a way. So the first thing to say is, so when we spoke again, you had you'd come out of this relationship, it was over, and then when you and I had this clarity call, I've actually found the notes that I took from.
Oh, really?
I literally just scribbles on a piece of paper, but it does sort of give some insight. And when we were speaking about, well, what is it that you really do want? You know, we know what's gone wrong. What it is your sort of, what is the relationship that your heart is really yearning for? What does that look like? And so I've got some words that I wrote down here. And so the first part is for the relationship. I've got happy and fun, safe and loved. There's also sports that you've written here. I think that's because you want somebody who you can do your sports with. And I've got prioritize and make time for emotional. I mean, I've literally written, I think it means emotional availability, and also separate lives, which I think spoke to, you having your own separate lives that you come together in relationship. And then where we're speaking about this ideal man now, this person who is not your ex, right? In this conversation, is somebody who's direct in his communication, clear in what he wants. Then I've got here stable and ambitious, making a life for himself, or starting to make a life for himself. And then the last part is that it says sees you and chooses you. So Cecilia, how many of those boxes have you now ticked in your life?
Oh my God, I'm getting like real goosebumps here because I've got it all. Like honestly, I've got it all. It's really moving because when you read that, I can feel into the hurt that I was in when I spoke to you. And when I hear it now, where I am now, I just feel so grateful, both to you guys and to me and to him. Yeah, it's beautiful, really beautiful.
Wow, I was getting goosebumps too. I was feeling goosebumps on behalf of you. I was thinking.
I didn't tell Beth I had that.
No, I didn't know I was going to do that or share that, and I didn't know. Yeah.
Well, thank you for sharing that. That was beautiful.
Yeah, I'm so glad I had this. It's literally, it's not a formal thing. I scribble things when I speak to people, but I thought, let me find this. I'm sure it's there. But the reason, although I didn't remember the specifics, when I got your email, of course, I knew what it is, your journey, what it is you were longing for, and that it happened in this way. That it's very, very rare that the person, the relationship that causes the pain that makes someone do the work, especially when they've separated, because it's not the same as somebody coming into the program who's in a relationship, a committed relationship. This is very two distinct groups: single women in relationship. You were single, but to have achieved this isn't unusual. But to have achieved it with the guy, that brought you in, I have to admit, is unusual. But I really, I'd like to honor him actually, and maybe one day we'll speak again, and I'd love to meet him, because what you've done here, I really want you to hear this, Cecilia, and own it. Really take ownership. Yeah, the program's great. Me and Beth are great. I know, but ultimately, you did this. You 100% opened up your heart and allowed yourself to really feel what it is your heart yearns for, and then you did the work and you manifested it and you made it happen. You did that.
Thank you. That's very sweet of you.
Beautiful.
And so one final question, Cecilia. So this has been so beautiful and such a gift, and just these whole, some of the women we've worked with, they show up and they, and they share really their story, and it's very vulnerable actually, but really in this spirit of really giving hope to the other women, in the world who are in pain, who probably lost hope, and they're struggling. And so I wondered, as a last question, is there any kind of words of encouragement or guidance or anything you might say, to one of those women who may be just like you were? What would you say to her?
Well, I would say that, the key points for me, at least, was knowledge. I think knowledge is a really good way to start. And with that, I guess it's knowledge within the right form as well. It's not, I can give you an example. Of course, LBL was really a turning point because that was in the right form. But for people that doesn't have the opportunity to take a class or anything like that, I would say that having someone around you that doesn't go with you in your victim mode is
Yes.
really good.
Yeah.
For example, Anna that did the
Mm.
class with me, she is amazing.
She is.
Yeah, she's been really, during the last 6 months, I've been really triggered twice. And at those times, I reached out to Anna, and she was the right forum for me at that point, because she was, or is, very much like me, and she did the same journey, and she also calls me on my shit.
Yes. Yes.
So yeah, that is really something to have.
Mm.
That's very powerful, Cecilia. You really touched on something very profound and something that we speak to with the women a lot. As you know, when you change, the other relationships change too. And a big part of that, and people need to prepare themselves for this, is letting go or making distance with people who previously you resonated with on the level of your problems. And
Yeah.
we see this all the time. I see it in the comments sections of the posts that I put out. Bless them, women sort of supporting each other's victimhood.
Yeah.
And there's a place for having the shoulder to cry on and to be held, and that is absolutely valid, and to have that experience, that kind of sympathy and empathy. But what is really missing for most women, and what you've attained for yourself, and what you've identified rightly in Anna, is somebody who can sort of not just give you a hug, but also a bit of a slap, on the back, to sort of help you straighten up and hold you accountable. So it's a huge piece.
Yeah.
I love that. Actually, Sharif talks about it a lot, and he said once, what women need, they need to be a bit more like men, like, straighten up, let's get, give each other a pat on the back more. And he said, and men probably need to learn a bit from women and open their hearts more and do all that kind of stuff. And I thought it was like so spot on.
Yeah.
In terms of just getting that healthy balance, in what you're getting from each other, and absolutely that adjustment to some of the relationships. And, that a lot of us do get into that. We think we're serving each other as women best by just, allowing the pain, allowing the suffering, and because we don't have the courage to speak up.
Yeah.
But actually, sometimes the greatest service you can do to someone is give them that bold truth. Really from this place of love is the greatest service you can do.
Mm-hmm.
But it takes a certain kind of courage, to be able to do that. So
thank you for sharing that, Cecilia. I just wanted to say, what you've done here, just to really make it very concrete, is you've surrounded yourself with, for want of a better word, winners, or people who have a winning mind or are geared towards winning. How can I help you win, rather than how can I just grieve with you because I feel the same pain, and it's such a huge difference.
Yeah, because it really, at the lowest points, for sure, that could be really nice to have. But if you want to make progress, or if you want to have different kind of relationships, you need to do something different. Yeah, so you find the right form. For sure, is really good. And when you do, all of the things that you need to know will fall into place, and you can start doing the work that is within.
I love that. So many nuggets of your queen wisdom that you're sharing, because I didn't expect that, and that is such a truth. That's a really beautiful gift to have given the women. And it's been just so wonderful to celebrate you, Cecilia, on the call today. Really, it just gives Sharif and I just so much as well, hope and even more motivation, to really start to really rebuild this temple of love, on the planet. That's how I really feel, you know, that kind of, it's been corrupted a little bit. People are struggling, and actually there's something super powerful for ourselves, you know, for our families, for the planet to be
Children,
able to,
especially in your case, very soon.
Yeah, that's true. That was like, yeah, I forgot. Yeah. So you're now, tell us, you're where that final bit you told us, you and Christian are now.
You've made the decision. It's family, right?
Yeah, we did. So that's really something. It's beautiful, really, to not just that's something that's going to happen, but it's with the journey that we've done and that we're doing, and that I get to do that with him within this. It's truly, amazing.
Oh, thank you so much, Cecilia. You've done so amazing, and I mean, your journey. People watching now, they can easily think, oh, well, she's clearly so radiant and lovely. So of course she got the You don't understand, people. This woman, Cecilia, has been to the depths of. Just trust me, it's been a journey. Yeah.
You should have seen me a year ago. You wouldn't have seen this, for sure. Yeah.
Oh,
Beautiful.
Yeah, I guess it's a very hopeful for women that change is possible if you start with yourself. Yeah.
Amazing. And with that, thank you, Cecilia. That is the perfect ending to this amazing interview. Thank you for your time and for being this source of inspiration for the women, and honestly for us as well.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you, guys.